there's always an expat group on Facebook for almost every country I've lived in. There's right now I'm in like expat Nassau group for Bahamas. I was in the team Tanzania when I lived in Dar es Salaam. So there's always communities of people online that are super willing to answer questions. You should ask when you're asking about schools about new teacher induction programs, and if they will hook you up with or connect you with another teacher that's already at the school and some sort of mentor-mentee or kind of social buddy program that they might have running. I would say research about the country that you're going to, and yeah, I think talking to people who work there is most important. Depending on a school's timeline for accepting a job position, I will often ask to speak to someone who works there before I accept, just so I can hear a little bit about the country. If I've done my research and everything, then I don't feel I need to do that. But one of the other things that I would say is really important for an induction program for you is having a connection with someone at the school. So make sure that a school will, do that for you, or is willing to connect you with someone so you can be ready and, know what to bring and things like that.
There's so much you can get from online research. I mean, start with their own website. Look for, compare it against the websites of other schools that you've been considering. Look at the online fora about what kind of chatter there is. You take it with a grain of salt, because often some of those fora are filled with people who like to complain about things. So just make sure that it's not just full of what seem to be really unhappy, bitter people, but it's worth just seeing what some of the issues are. And then don't be afraid to tackle some of those questions in an interview with the school. And then at some point in your consideration of a school, I think it is reasonable to ask to be connected to someone who would be a teaching colleague, and not necessarily the administrator who would be leading you. I wouldn't do that along with your initial application, but when you get to the point where it's become serious, and or even when you've been offered a position, that's a reasonable request, and schools who have nothing to hide won't mind connecting you with somebody to be able to fire off an email with some questions and get some answers about what it's like to teach in your grade level or department. I think those are all good ways. Dee, did you have anything else to add about vetting the school?
I would say there is like the online forums are always a good, and like Glenn said, you do have to take them with a grain of salt, because what you find, the more international schools you work in, and Glenn mentioned this earlier, that there are people that don't seem to be really suited to working abroad. You're not really sure why they're working abroad. I mean, everyone has their own reasons, obviously, but I would say visiting those forums. There's a site called the International Schools Review, ISR, and it has anonymous reviews from people that have worked at the schools, and they can, rank a school and different aspects within it, and then also put a comment about life at the school, life in that country. And again, it's, you do have to look at them and realize, okay, take it with a grain of salt. There's going to be the good and not so good about everything, but you have to kind of sift through that and see if it's somewhere. But that school, amongst international school teachers, ISR is a pretty popular forum, is the word I'm looking for, sorry, for commenting on schools. Search Associates is the biggest recruitment agency that I am aware of for international schools. You do have to sift through their schools as well. They have a number of schools. They have requirements for schools to join. I'm not sure what the requirements are now. When I first joined Search Associates, they had a very, kind of strict set of rules for schools to follow, and for recruitees or candidates, that's the word I'm looking for, to follow. So, and there are certain processes that, schools are expected to live up to, as well as candidates. So, but they have heaps and heaps of schools on there, and the greatest thing about it is once you sign up and your account is ready to go, it gives you so much information about the school. It gives you, if you are on a BA and 4 years of experience, generally what you can expect to make up to, and then the other one is like a master's and 8 years of experience. So you can kind of like get an idea of what your salary might be. It tells you what your expected savings could be every year. It tells you about the health insurance. It tells you about dependents for students. It tells you a whole bunch of stuff. There's a wealth of information on there about the school itself and the makeup of the school. So, you know, another thing is a lot of people want to know how many nationals are at the school and within the school population, because, you know, that can be quite important to some people. And that can sway a decision as well. Research Associates is a very good one. There's also one called TIE, T-I-E, that some people use. But I would say that for international schools, IB, that Search Associates is probably the largest one.
And thank you. I would add to that. My answer to that is a flat out yes. I would really encourage you, if you're serious about it, to join one or more recruitment agencies, in addition to Search, which is really very well known, as Dee has pointed out. Along with if you sign up for the IBEC program, we have an agreement with a group called Searchality, which are younger and newer on the market, but they're very ambitious and have a great database, and would be a real assistance to you in finding a place, or at least seeing what some of the options are. Another good one is ISS Scroll. Again, these are all available by just, if you type in or Google those names, you'll find them. And so I would encourage you to find one or two that you're comfortable with and start using that as a way to see what your options are, and, as Dee mentioned, to do some of your research for it.